It's more complicated than the Dewey Decimal System, bro. He's got it organized by colors. All right, fam jam. It is Thursday, season 2, episode 2 of Bropinions. Welcome in. Today is going to be another highlight kind of day, not analytical. We went over the Super Bowl. If you haven't watched the first episode of season 2, go back. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and a lot of other things that I don't know.
Oh, today's analytical. Let's not get it twisted.
Oh, yeah, we're analyzing, but this has nothing to do with football.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. And so welcome in. We've got John the Stone, Nikki P, as usual.
What up, what up?
Hey, everybody.
And so what we decided to do today is not a draft. We've done drafts the last 2 weeks. You guys were really receptive to it. Y'all liked it. The fast food one is kind of like popping off. And 2 people have called me.
That's our most listened to episode, actually.
Yeah, 2 people have called me and been like, y'all are jerks. I need to go get a cheesy gordita crunch now. And it's really funny. So, but today is not a draft. We're just going to highlight our top 5. And it's going to be video games of all time. We're not constricting it. So this is wide open. I feel like we're going to get a lot of different things, different realms. That includes PC games, Xbox, PlayStation, Sega, Nintendo, Switch, even the arcade games, which I don't know how many arcades there are anymore. But
yeah, right.
Dude, do you remember, I think it was Aladdin's that was in the mall in Rome? Yeah, I remember vividly that being there.
The Pepperidge Farm remembers.
The Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yeah, and I will also say, at least for mine, and I'm sure you guys did this as well, but this is my personal top 5 video games. So like, I didn't include games that I hadn't played, even though I may have like watched like Let's Plays on YouTube, because like otherwise,
right.
I never had a PlayStation. Otherwise, like Last of Us and Uncharted would most certainly be on my list, but I wanted to keep it to games that I've actually played. So
hey, if you want to borrow mine, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah,
hey, I might.
PS4, so you can use it. Yeah, I looked at that. I wanted to do the ones that I think either I played the most, and that includes the 64 that was in college, because that's the only thing strong enough to survive a fraternity house. But things that, or the ones, the one is in there that I thought was the hardest game that I've played. So I looked at a bunch of different ways, and we'll have some honorable mentions. We're probably not going to hit everybody's favorite, so live with it.
Yeah, we only got 5 each. So
Oblivion is a great game. Didn't make mine. Fable, great game. Didn't make mine. Okay.
It was on my short list. Fable was.
Yeah, so we get it. We've got 5 games, and it's incredibly difficult for any gamers out there. Try to figure out your top 5 video games. It's right. You'll hit 1 and 2, and you'll be like, no problem, and then it gets real murky.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And we'll have some honorable mentions at the end too, because I got probably 5 or 6. I have like 10 that I was really struggling with, and so yeah. And then just to piggyback off what you said, when I was making my list, I really, being the, I guess, quote unquote analytical mind here, I had to break it down to like, all right, well, what makes my favorite video game like of all time? So it was like, has to have a good campaign, has to have good, if it has multiplayer, it has to be good. And then replayability. So like, am I gonna 100% the game, or have I already, like, am I gonna want to come back and play it again after a certain amount of time? And then, obviously there's things like mechanics, whether it's like janky or it plays really smooth. And then finally the nostalgia factor. It's like, when I play it, does it take me back to when I first played it, and give me that same feeling? So those were all the things I tried to think about when making this list.
Yeah, I just went for my top 5 favorite. Just the ones I've enjoyed playing over the years.
There's the difference. I know what Jonathan is like drafting fantasy football. He's got 3 computer screens up. He's got this whole program running. He's done that for 2 days looking at video games. And I've opened up notes on my phone and was like, that one was fun. That sucked. That was too hard. Oh, that was great. Yeah.
Yeah, when we get up to draft season, I won't give away my model, but we'll get into more more of that statistical stuff.
It's more complicated than the Dewey Decimal System, bro. He's got it organized by colors, round.
Dude, I
Alphabetically.
I'll see
You know
if
how
I
they
can
have 3D
find-
chess? He has a 3D Excel document, and he
I'll
plays it
see-
like Tony
4D.
Stark and rotates it.
4D.
I'll
Yeah.
see next episode if I can find my draft sheet from this past year. But I legit printed it out, had it laminated, and it was like a play sheet. It was like I was highlighting things, I was like crossing guys off.
You have to start growing a mustache right now, and I want you to have the Wahoo laminated Andy Reid play sheet. And flip it over
Alright.
immediately after
Alright.
every pick.
I don't know if I should be offended that you just said I should be Andy Reid or not, but
He just won the Super Bowl. Do you want to win or no?
I mean I like cheeseburgers, so I guess that's all right.
Heyo! All right, so let's
Oh.
let's jump in. So what have we got for number 5? Oh, just one clarification. We did just clarify for everybody listening that we're okay with doing a game series that the gameplay is similar. So if we say, if we were to just come out and say Mario Kart, I'm not saying the original Mario 64 or the Mario 8 Deluxe, whatever. We all know what Mario Kart is. We enjoy Mario Kart. So keep that in mind as we read off number 5.
Even though Mario Kart 64 is better, but anyway, we can.
It is. It's the OG.
All right, number 5. What you guys got?
I'm going with Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Now, I'm a big fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise, but Black Flag specifically, if you haven't had a chance to play it, man, it's just like the ultimate pirate adventure, dude. The ship game is so fun. I probably spent 100+ hours just ship fighting in that game. It's so damn fun. It's like everything you wanted Sea of Thieves to be, but in a game that's way older and still holds up. Looks beautiful. The water textures are amazing. It's, in my opinion, the best Assassin's Creed. In my opinion, top 5 all time.
Yeah, I will 100% agree. That was very, last second change. That was my number 5 as well. But I ended up not going with that. Instead, I am actually going to go with the Batman Arkham series. So Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight. I 100%ed every single one of those games. The combat in all those games is fantastic.
So fun.
I replay them, not once a year, but maybe like every other year. It's just such a great storyline too that spans across all the games. And then I'm pretty sure, I'm like 90% sure Mark Hamill does the Joker voice for those games. And so that just makes it that much better. So yeah, great games, great series.
I think Kevin Conroy was the Batman too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's Kevin
he was.
Conroy
Yeah.
R.I.P.
and
Kevin
Mark
Conroy.
Hamill.
Yeah,
It's-
and I mean, yeah, it's such a great game. Great mechanics, like I said, great combat, and an awesome storyline to boot. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
top 5.
Well, I went the opposite way. Mine has no storyline. But number 5 to me was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. One, the soundtrack is unrivaled. That soundtrack, I will listen and they'll throw on something like Spotify will do it. It's like, oh, well, you listen to this one ska song, and it like unlocks this memory in the back of my head. I'm like, I gotta go play Tony Hawk, bro. Like this is. They had great multiplayer games that you could play tag and tag different parts of the arenas, and it was one of those that there was no plot, there was none of that, but you could spend hours playing that game and still not really be great at it.
Right.
But have a fucking blast. You could have so much fun. And I know that it had a whole series. They're up to like 8 or 9. But 2 is the one I remember the most. The music was great. The game, the graphics were what you would expect out of a PS2. But that one, I just so much time spent playing that game just for fun. And you could have 4 guys play, you could have 2 or 4 people play, 2 people play. You could play by yourself and enjoy it. And that's what I think. It really spread that out. And the first one didn't do that, where the second one did.
Yeah, the remaster of Pro Skater 1 and 2 for the Series X is actually really good too. So, but yeah, it was the same deal. I booted that up, went into a game, and then the soundtrack hit, and I was like, oh, this is like unlocking like memories way back here, you know? So yeah, great game. Number 4.
Quattro.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I'll start us off again. I got The Last of Us at number 4. Um, just an amazing game from start to finish. And I gotta admit, I'm a person who gets terrified playing horror games. I typically watch somebody play those on YouTube, but I had to invest my time into The Last of Us, especially with the show out now. I played it a couple years ago. Amazing game, just an amazing game. Haven't had the chance to play the second one, so don't crucify me in the comments because I'm not listening to the second one. I haven't played it yet, but the first one is just an absolute masterpiece from start to finish. The game is just tugging on your heartstrings the whole time, putting you into situations that compromise your morality. Man, it's such a well thought out game.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the show. I've never played, but I've watched both of those playthroughs on YouTube, and really fantastic games. I don't know if you know what happens in the second one or not, the storyline, so I won't spoil it for you. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I was watching the series on YouTube and I was like, man, this is like a movie, and it's that good. So
yeah, and any game that is strong enough to hold like a series or a movie or things like that, you've got a solid principle. So I'm down with that. A lot of them have tried to convert over, like, I'm not super excited about this Mario movie coming. You know,
Yeah.
Sonic had done okay.
Hey, I'm Chris Pratt. It's me, Mario, over here. I mean,
from Brooklyn, you know.
so bad. It's
but
so
yeah,
embarrassing.
they just got renewed for the second season. So if it's doing that well, the gameplay had to be great. So
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, if you've never played the game, it is insane how like shot for shot they remade some of the cutscenes. It's nuts. Like, I'm getting chills thinking about it now. But it's like watching the side by sides. It's just so crazy the attention to detail they put in.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I'll go with my number 4, and this is the game series that, of our like friend group, I feel like I was the biggest proponent of, and it was very near and dear to my heart. But I'm going to go with Borderlands. Borderlands 1, 2, and 3. There's also the prequel, and there, Tiny Tina's is like a side thing that came out. But the main Borderlands games, the series, is such a great. I mean, you could call it a story, but that's not really what makes it. What makes it is the game engine that it runs on. You have like a billion different possible combinations of guns and stats that you can do. My favorite part about Borderlands, though, is all the pop culture references. So like all the side quests and all the different things you can do, and all the shout outs to the different pop culture references, like Firefly specifically for me is one of my favorite ones. But I will say the biggest thing that I remember about this game when I think about it is Handsome Jack is one of the best video game villains, in my opinion, of all time. Not because he's overly sinister, but because he is just, they constantly interject him into your storyline, and by the time you finally get to fight him, you're so annoyed and like just over him that you're just like, that final fight where you get to kill him is just very, very satisfying. So I had Borderlands 2 specifically.
Spoiler.
But yeah, Borderlands is a great game, great series, and really good just overall mechanics. And yeah,
I've got them. I actually had Borderlands 2 specifically as an honorable mention. It was 6th for me. I loved playing that game. It's long. You get a good value out of what the game costs because it does take a while. But yeah, you're right. That final boss fight is a lot of fun, and you get a twist in there, which is pretty dope. But you're right. It's a huge gameplay area, and the fact that you can play different characters. Like I was the chick. I always played the chick. She seemed like the healer was what I like to do. And
I
I know
was the sniper character. Yeah.
And but that was one of 3 games that I ever played all the way through with my dad. So we didn't play a lot. Like I played World of Warcraft with him, but that game we would sit and play on the console, and we played that whole game. So that has that nostalgia factor for me as well. That you get to play an entire story mode. Like we get multiplayer normally is PvP. But to play an online story mode that way was a lot of fun. And with him working everything, it took us, 6 weeks at 1-2 hours at a whack to do it. But one of
the best co-op story modes. For
that game is so much fun. 4 for me this is where I came in on I think this is the hardest game that I've played. Like it's so hard. And that is the God of War series, specifically God of War 3. that took me forever. Because if you don't play it exactly right, you get overwhelmed, and then you die, and then you go back. But the story mode of going up Mount Olympus, fighting the Greek gods, all these kinds of things, that was really creative to me. I enjoyed that storyline a ton. And it presented the challenge that you don't really get a lot in those late 90s to mid 2000s games. They were mostly linear, where you knew what you were doing. And it wasn't as difficult. So this kind of bucked that trend, and it made it a hard game to win, but it felt satisfactory when you did win it. They've got a great storyline across the games. I just like 3 the most. But yeah, God of War was solid game.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'll go ahead and segue. I totally agree. I love God of War. But I'll segue into my third one. My third one is going to be, and this is mostly the whole franchise. Obviously, some games are better than others, but I'm going to go with my personal favorite, Pokemon Emerald. Huge Pokemon fan. I buy every Pokemon. I love Pokemon. I've played Pokemon since I was a kid. It's just one of those games, like we've talked about the nostalgia factor. It's one of those games I grew up on. I took a break for a few years when I was, when I thought I was too cool for Pokemon, back when that was the thing. But I got into it after skipping a couple generations, and I haven't missed a beat since. I mean, it's just such an amazing game, and I remember specifically being a kid and on car rides with my Game Boy, just playing Pokemon Emerald for hours and hours and hours and hours, and that was it. That's all I played, on my Game Boy or my DS, whatever it was. But Pokemon Emerald has a near and dear place in my heart, so it's my top 3. So
remember the Game Boys before they were backlit, and you had this plug-in, and it was a little light.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were great. The Game Boy Colors.
Yeah, I had that like see-through purple Game Boy color.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With the
I had the
Pokemon.
original. Our granddad had the original gray Game Boy. No backlight. No, you couldn't add the light to it. Nothing. The old school cartridges, not the shorter ones. Everything. But with Pokemon, shout out J Rit. J Rit, I know you're listening, so you'll love that pick. That was actually his Christmas gift this year, was Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon
Scarlet Violet, yeah.
Something another.
I've already put over 200 hours into both of those games. so well, 200 hours combined, not 200 hours each, but yeah, I've put in almost 200 hours plus on both of those. So
wow.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Pokemon's just a fantastic series.
I play Pokemon Go, if that counts.
Hey, it counts, man. I mean, that's a huge. I mean, it's crazy. Pokemon is nuts. Like, it is like the highest grossing independent franchise ever. It's nuts. It's bigger than Disney. It's crazy.
They built a conglomerate when they built that game. It's crazy.
Yep, for sure. Well, I'll move on into my. Don't even make me think about the end of that Pokemon movie. I did cry. I did, actually.
Hey, real men cried at the first Pokemon movie.
That's right.
Let's be real.
All right, my number 3, and this may actually surprise you guys, or you all, whoever is listening. And, I'll be straight up, it may be a little bit of recency bias, but I'm having such a blast playing this game. I've already put 12 hours into it. But I'm going to go with number 3, Hogwarts Legacy. I love all the Harry Potter
Twitter.
games. I'm not going to get into that. As far as the actual game, an open world Harry Potter game that is done well. The combat mechanics in it are amazing. All the mechanics are great. It's been a very, very long time since I've played a game day one that didn't have any issues, and this game doesn't have any issues. It's great. The storyline is fresh. It's not stale. It's not a Harry Potter storyline. It's just set in that realm, and they do a really great job. And for it to be an open world, game in that Harry Potter world, you're at Hogwarts. It's just overall fantastic. And coming from someone who played all of the old Harry Potter games, including, I probably put over 100 plus hours into that old Quidditch game on the PS2. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, Hogwarts Legacy to me already is on my top 5, just for the nostalgia factor of Harry Potter. But then also, it's just a good game. No multiplayer, but a very, very solid campaign, and all the mechanics are great, and there's just no issues. So yeah, I've probably already put 20 hours into that game, and it just came out like a week ago. So
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. I think I alluded to it last, or not the last podcast, but the one before our last draft. I've been having so much fun with that game. Like you said, it's been a while since like a good game that actually captivated me has come out. I honestly can't remember what the last one was. It's probably been a few years, but yeah, Hogwarts Legacy. If you have not checked it out, definitely recommend. Especially if you're a Harry Potter fan. It's awesome.
Okay, I'll go play the game.
and it does all of that.
It's
and
time.
it does all of that with no microtransactions. It's just a solid, good game with no additional bullshit that you don't need. So
Hell yeah. So y'all did 3. So my third is probably the second most played game on an N64, and it's Mario Kart. I get that we have it for the Switch and for the GameCube and for whatever the hell else Nintendo came out with. Yeah, that one.
The Wii U.
So,
with the steering wheel.
Again, the 64 was built to survive, and I still have a 64. Like, love that game, and it's just fun to break out when you have a bunch of people over and you're like, what do you want to do? Let's just play Mario Kart. Let's play, and people identify, and I've seen this meme go across Twitter and Facebook and everything about, don't tell me about what chakra you are or what you're, if you're a Scorpio or whatever. Who do you play in Mario Kart? That's and if it's strong enough, you can make memes about it. That's huge. I'm a Yoshi, by the way. I play Yoshi.
Toad all the way.
I usually go with I'm gonna say what's the Bones guy? Shaky Bones.
Well, that's But yeah, I mean, everybody enjoys Mario Kart. Again, not a linear, not a campaign, not anything like that. You can, do the full tracks by yourself, and it's still fun. And I'm not saying the gameplay in the newer ones and the graphics aren't fantastic, but that old school 64, you don't have to worry about coins, you don't have to worry about picking your wheels. You just pick your character and go kick ass. And I've played that game so much. Plus, I still love the old 64 controller. I think that's the most unique controller of any of the ones that have come out, including the Switch.
Yeah, not just Mario Kart, man. I mean, all those Mario sports games are really fun. Like
tennis
Mario Party, Mario Tennis. I don't know if you played
Mario
the soccer
Party.
one, Mario Strikers. That game is fun as hell too.
I put some solid hours into Mario Party for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Mario Party will ruin friendships, man. People talk about Monopoly being that game. Mario Party is that game.
Dude, you steal my star, you're dead to me, man.
Yeah, right. You send me to a Bowser thing, it's over. Like,
I'm personally a fan of the OG Xbox controller that you can beat somebody to death with.
Those things were indestructible.
All right, number 2. What we got?
All right, number 2. I think, honestly, I alluded to it earlier, and Drew, you said something about it. I'm going God of War, baby. I'm going the new God of War. I'm talking the linear RPG, the newer God of War. That game is heat, man. It's one of the best games I've ever played, period. I mean, obviously, it's in my top 2. It's just like, from start, you can get a Thanos glove. You can fight dragons. You get to beat the shit out of Norse gods. I mean, like, what else could you ask for in a game?
So yeah, that's
what else could you want?
Ragnarok one, right?
I haven't played Ragnarok. But this one is the first one of the newer series they created, and it's just immaculate, man. I mean, the Valkyries, like, you want to talk about hard? Beating the Valkyries in that game is a nightmare, bro.
Those games are brutal.
They're tough, and I've played Elden Ring, and that game is also very harsh. So, the Valkyries and that are tough. The Elden Ring's hard, but yeah, God of War, one of my, I remember playing the game and just being in awe of how, oh my god, like seeing Jormungandr for the first time, seeing a serpent that big in a video game was just like, oh my god. It was amazing. It's just like so many moments like that in that game. It was just another just perfectly designed game in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to borrow a PlayStation from one of you guys so I can play all these games.
Hey man, I got the games if you need them. I got Horizon, I got God of War. I think I might have The Last of Us, but
Well,
All
I
right. Well,
guess
give
you
me
can borrow mine because I got to hook up that new Xbox and play Hogwarts. So
yeah. I was
Yeah,
gonna say give me 200 hours to get to 100% Hogwarts, and I'll hit you up.
right.
All right, my number two, and it may surprise at least one of you that this is not my number one, but my number two, I'm going to go with the OG classic Xbox game series Halo. Specifically, Halo 2 was the original on my list. Um, originally when we were making these lists, we were going to do specific games. So I had picked Halo 2 over Halo 3 because I feel like Halo 2 had it all. It had a very solid campaign. I mean, being able to play from the Covenant side and see their infrastructure and see how they operate, and as well as, the typical Master Chief side. And then they introduced the multiplayer, which, I mean, we spent hundreds of hours LAN partying playing Halo 2 multiplayer. I remember,
out
Lockout. I remember
Zanzibar.
very clearly, the night before I was going to get my learner's permit, we had a Halo 2 tournament that was an all-nighter. And so the photo on my driver's license still to this day is of like 15-year-old me after an all-night Halo 2 LAN party, going to get my learner's permit. I've not taken a new one. It's still to this day the photo on my driver's license. So every time I have to pull it out, I think about that.
Just
But yeah,
coked up on game fuel and
yeah,
Mountain
dude.
Dew and Doritos
That's right.
and some Halo 2,
yeah.
baby. That's it.
That was the life, man. And then, of course, you got to shout out Halo 3. I mean, Halo 2 campaign, Halo 3 multiplayer. If we're just being real. And I'll be honest, I haven't played the new Halo yet. It's just hasn't been on my list. Probably won't be for a while after Hogwarts, and especially if I get. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Halo 2, Halo 3, the nostalgia factor hits hard, and just very solid games. So yeah, my number two overall.
well, I'm gonna go with a party game again, which I think is the absolute best party game to ever be put out. And if you have one of the original cartridges, they're up over $200 now. I have one. I will never get rid of it, but it is Super Smash Brothers. And that, everybody listening just nodded their head, going, "Oh yeah, man." We'll talk about just pissing off your friends, and if you've got it on the 64, the person who came in fourth gives up the controller. Somebody's chomping at the bit to play the game and ready to go. And you'll sit there, and it's entertaining even to watch four people play. That was the game we played most in college, for sure. If it was like a Tuesday and you got out of class at 2, you want to start drinking yet? Or you do want to start drinking and play. Drunk Smash Bros. Is awesome. Drunk Smash Bros. Is so much fun. But again, you're labeled by who you play as, and if you have the original and you play as Pikachu, you're kind of a bitch. If you have the original and you can get good with Ness, my God, are you unstoppable? Ness is so good, but you have to really commit to learn how to play him. Again, Yoshi for me, because he can throw the eggs, and people can hate that. But yeah, it's one of those that not only does it have the nostalgia factor, they have a line of games that has come after that one that is also fun. They incorporate a ton of characters. I mean, I think Smash Bros. Ultimate has like 100 characters. Like, it's insane. They just got was a new character, but they put in a bunch of new characters on that one, and then they're releasing stuff DLC. So, I mean, how can you argue with something that stayed with you for the last 15 years when not a lot can? And Nintendo has it. They have just a fantastic gameplay with characters that you can relate to, and it goes back to, hey, you've played this since you were like 13.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, talk about a game that'll ruin friendships. That's definitely one. And I also like how we've listed like the pillars of like Nintendo here. We have like Pokemon,
Right.
Mario Kart, Smash Bros. I think the only one we're missing is like actual like Super Mario. So
Yeah, right.
not my number one though. Just gonna spoiler alert.
but yeah, no, I don't have the original Super Mario Brothers is my number one. Although with the Duck Hunt, the little gun, it's fun. Oh, and here we are, the top 3 games
Last three number ones. I think I'll start first again. We'll go with my favorite game of all time. Is going to be The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt. If you have not indulged in this masterpiece,
Henry Cavill.
buckle in and enjoy the next 60 plus hours of your life. It is an amazing game. It starts a little slow, admittedly. It took me probably 6 months after I got it to make it past the first town. But once I did, the game really opens up, and it just becomes an incredible story. The gameplay itself is amazing, and like there are a few bugs here and there, but nothing that's gonna impede your playthrough. The story is just immaculate. It's one of those games that it shocks you at its depth. Like, you can pick any random side quest, and it's like I think we've all played Skyrim. You know, there are quests where it's like, oh, go get this potion from such and such and take it here, and then you'll get a sword, whatever. The Witcher, it's like, oh no, you go to this cave and you discover an undercover murder plot, and then you go solve this murder, and once you've solved the murder, you go back to the cave to do these puzzles. It's just like the depth of their quests are unmatched by anybody.
Sounds like a Knives Out mystery.
How deep the game goes, as far as like even the most generic little quests you can find, is just so incredibly impressive. And then with both of the expansions, and when I'm talking expansion, these were legit expansions. Like, honest to God, they probably could have charged an extra $60 for what they called DLC. I mean, it was legitimately like an entirely separate game. The place is huge. It's beautiful. The landscape, it's just literally perfect. There's not a negative thing I could say about the game. That's how much I love it. Witcher 3 is my greatest game ever.
I will be completely honest. I've never played it. I've heard about it. I've heard all the hype. I'm adding a lot of games to my list of games I have to play again. Like I know, said, after I sink 200 hours into Hogwarts.
You're all opening my eyes.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Adding that to my list. My number one game of all time, and admittedly, as my friends know, I haven't played a lot of this recently. But you want to talk about depth to a game, specifically the lore of a game, and just I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours, lots of nights raiding everything on this game, both of these games. But I'm going to go with Destiny as my number one game of all time. Destiny 1 and 2. Destiny 1 is so near and dear to my heart. Hundreds of hours spent on that game. And then, Nick, like you were saying, just the depth of the quests. Destiny is a first-person shooter, so the quests aren't that deep, but the lore is what really I love about Destiny. I mean, there's a guy on YouTube called, I think my name is Biff or Biff or something like that, but he does extensive deep dives into lore, and they're legit like hour-long videos into the lore of this video game. And there's just so much. I mean, if you want to, the last one I watched was like from the beginning up till now lore video. It was 4 hours long. So I mean, and then you combine that with the multiplayer aspect, which is very, very solid. For those who don't know, Destiny 1 and 2 was created by Bungie, who were the creators of the first Halo games. So Halo 1, 2, 3. And then they split off onto their own thing. Microsoft obviously retained the rights to Halo, but they made Destiny. So it brings a lot of those same mechanics and a lot of just that, that style to their multiplayer and their game. And, I can't say enough about it. Between the campaign, the expansions, all the expansions that they've had, I think another one comes out here pretty soon. And yeah, I mean, it's just such a solid game. And I can't say enough about it. Yeah, my number one game of all time.
Nice.
Yeah, Destiny is one of those games that, admittedly, I'm a Destiny hater. Gotta say, admittedly, but I will preface that with looter shooters. I don't know what it is. I think I've been cursed from birth, but with looter shooters, I have the worst luck on planet Earth. Because I remember the thing that really turned me off of Destiny was I remember when the first Destiny came out. I was playing it with all my buddies when it came out. It was, we were all just progressing at the same speed. And then we got to the Vault of Glass. Mm-hmm. And the Vault of Glass, if you've never played the original Destiny, is literally hell. It's literally hell. So the way the original Destiny worked, and they fixed it in the second one. Thank God they fixed it in the second one. Was that essentially you had to get gear that would upgrade your light level past a certain point. Mm-hmm. Well, when the game originally released, the highest you could go was light level 30. However, the only way to get light level 30 gear was to complete the Vault of Glass, and if you didn't complete well, here's the thing about the Vault of Glass: you weren't guaranteed to get light level 30 gear when you played it originally. Now they fixed that and changed that with a few patches, I think, in the beginning. But originally, it was one of those things that I remember. Me and all my friends got to the Vault of Glass. We beat it. They all got light level 30 gear, and I didn't. So they got to unlock all of the post-game content, while I'm just sitting there like repeating the Vault of Glass over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's
it was just one of those things. It was just like, oh my God, I'm literally going to bash my head into a wall if I don't get this gear.
It's like raiding in WoW. There was one we did. I think I did the same raid. It was a 2-hour raid. And I did it for a week, and I think I rated that thing 18 times. And what you wanted had a drop rate of 2%. I never got it.
I want to say Vault of Glass was like 1%, dude. It was ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah,
there were people that grinded for like literally weeks that never got light level 30. It was nuts. But I will say Destiny is a great game. It's super fun to play. You know, as long as you got friends to play it with you, it's just such a blast.
Yeah, Taken King was my favorite raid. So.
Oh yeah, Taken King was super dope.
I was never as good at it. Shout out to Matt Bishop, because he is just gifted in video games. Like, he's just good. It doesn't matter what it is. But he got me to start playing that right after what was it, PUBG? They were playing PUBG a while, and then it was like, no, you should get onto Destiny. And I was like, well, what the f is Destiny? What is it? Now I got to go get another game. Now I got to learn how to do this again. And I got into it for a good bit. So I understand it. I was never as good at that one. So that's why it didn't make my top 5. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's pretty immersive. And I guess for my limited attention span, I don't want it to be so much crap that I'm just like, okay, what now? What, you know? And I'd have to call Jonathan, or I'd have to call Matt or Andrew or whatever, and be like, what am I supposed to do, man? And he's like, well, you're running with like level 5 gear and you're level 17, so maybe you should upgrade your stuff. Maybe that one. I didn't even know that was a thing.
That'll do it.
So yeah, but it was a fun game. It's another one of those that you can log. And I've looked at mine. I like party games where I'm with friends. You know, I don't want to play games by myself. I've figured that out now doing this. We're having a little window into the soul on the old podcast here. But on number one, what?
I like looter shooters. Apparently, I got 2 of them on my top 5.
Yeah.
So.
Nothing wrong with looter shooters. I just have the worst luck in human history as far as looter shooters are concerned. I mean, I remember going on raids in Borderlands 3 with one of my friends and him getting stuff that was just like 30 levels higher than the stuff I'm getting, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
That was me.
But see, Borderlands was good. I still wanted to keep playing that one. Eventually with Destiny, I was like, this is annoying.
With Destiny, I was like, okay, I've reached a point where I cannot catch up. I'm too far behind. They're fighting things that I can't even do damage to. And it's over for me. My career is over.
So number one, we've already talked about it a bit, but I'm going to disagree with Jonathan a little bit. It's the Halo Master Chief Collection. The nostalgia part is I hosted the parties. We had a number of times where everybody would bring over those big ass analog TVs. And we'd have 8 or 9 Xboxes going in the house, TVs going. Andrew almost got murdered by my mother. Things of that nature. But yeah, this was fun online. You could have fun with your friends online. And the third one that came out, the internet was faster, so it wasn't as glitchy. You could host LAN parties. Everybody get together. We'd buy like an ungodly amount of that Halo 3 game fuel, order some Dominoes, and we'd start playing on Friday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon everybody would go home.
Or get that like 40-pack of tacos from Taco Bell.
Yeah, and then Andrew ate 36 of them, and then we all got one taco. Yeah. But yeah, it's stuff like that, and you remember those times, and you laugh about it. And to me, I thought that the first Halo had a spectacular new campaign, and then 2 came out, and the multiplayer was disgustingly good. Like, it was something we had never gotten to play before. And the campaign took a little bit of a hit, and I thought they merged that great with 3. The heat maps, for anybody, they're still up on Bungie. You can still go see your heat map
Oh,
signatures.
no joke. I'm doing that right now.
From
Sorry.
multiplayer, yeah.
Continue
Narrows,
on.
where we would play shoddy snipes. We played SWAT on whatever Zanzibar was in 3, because it was a bigger lot than that. But yeah, I would say easily I've played 500 to 700 hours of Halo amongst them. I haven't got to play Halo Infinite yet. I'm going to, but I have the Master Chief's collection. I had the first Halo, second Halo, third Halo, and it didn't matter where we were going. If they were like, "Oh, do you want to go play Halo?" Yes. It's, we got pretty good at the game. Like, we were solid when it was me, John, Matt, Jeremy. Sadly, old J Rit was never really good at the old first-person shooters. He would just get murked.
He tried, bless his heart.
Now, he tried so hard, and I'm sorry, buddy. We love you, and God, you'd kick my ass at Pokemon in 2 seconds, because I have no idea how. Because he knows he has the whole Pokedex in his head. Oh, well, what's number 376? Oh, it's
there was a study that came out. There was a study that came out that said that people who grew up playing Pokemon actually developed a different part in their brain to remember the names of Pokemon.
No joke.
There's like
That's crazy.
there's like an unused part of our brain that grew larger for folks that grew up playing Pokemon. Like it's encyclopedic knowledge. I could remember every single Pokemon's name if you showed me a picture, legitimately.
So I'm telling you right now, for anybody on Spotify that's listening, I'm putting in a GIF from the Water Boy that says, "There's something wrong with his medulla oblongata." Okay, you just made
like
something in your brain to remember Pokemon. This is amazing. Well, Jeremy definitely has that, but yeah, man, Halo 3 to me was a perfect game. It wasn't too difficult, but you could up it to legendary, and it was hard as hell.
Oh yeah, with the skulls.
You could run co-op.
Lasso,
through the
man.
campaign.
Legendary, all skulls on.
Yeah, it's brutal. Brutal.
Grunt headshot party.
Yeah, no bash
the
to
best.
get more bash for better health. All these kinds of things. And not only do I go back and enjoy, and we laugh about the stories we talk about when we're playing Halo 3, I still go back and play that game. The Hornet flying around, you can fly around in a ghost, all those kinds of things. And it's just so much fun to play today as it was 15 years ago.
You want to talk about ending friendships? There was nothing, and I mean nothing, funnier when you're playing Halo 3 multiplayer with your friends at a LAN party. You get in a ghost and you just plow somebody over, and you just hear them start cursing from the next room. I would purposefully try to do that. I wouldn't give a crap about winning the game. I was trying to piss people off, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, because it did this. You asshole! What? You can't spawn and then kill me. That's not how it works.
When did we start using vehicles?
Yeah, no vehicles. We said it. There are no rules in hell.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And not too many of the games wanted us to stay up for 48 hours with a 2-hour nap and just unload on caffeine. And I know now, looking back at it, when we were in high school, the teachers had to look at us and be like, what in God's name are they doing? Because Mondays, they come in here dead ass and they have no energy and they just look like they had a weekend in Vegas on coke. And you're like, no, Halo.
Oh man, yeah. No, I 100% agree. It was very close to be my number one, but I just had to throw Destiny in there. So, real quick before we wrap this up, I know we mentioned it, but I definitely have some honorable mentions because there's a ton of games that I was trying to decide between. So I just want to run through mine real quick. Nick, you mentioned it, but Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, I love that game. The Pirates theme is one of my favorites to any game, and there's very few of the Assassin's Creed games I will go back and replay, but that's one of them. I have to shout out the very first game I ever got with my first Xbox ever, which was Guitar Hero 3. And I loved playing that game because my friends, you guys, so my mom quick story. My mom got me the original Xbox and it came with Guitar Hero 3, but she didn't understand that the guitar controller was separate. So like the actual guitar. So I learned how to play Guitar Hero on a regular controller, like an Xbox controller. So it was green, red, yellow, blue, orange. Orange was the A button. And one of my favorite party tricks that I used to love to pull out and do was I could play through the fire and the flames on hard with the regular controller. And so I still remember that, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was also hilarious to watch you get to a point where they just had a bunch of the same note, and you had to do this.
Oh yeah.
On the trigger,
really,
it was hilarious.
I got to shout out Half-Life 2 as well. One of the few PC games that I've played, but I remember going out of my way to figure out a way that I could play that on my parents' old crappy desktop tower PC that could not support a game at all, but I figured out a way to make it work. So Half-Life 2, The Last of Us was on my list, GoldenEye on the N64 was on my list. Yep. And then the last one on my list that I have to shout out, and again, shout out to our friend Matt Bishop. When I first moved to Valdosta for college, he and I every single day would play like 4 or 5 hours of Battlefield 4. And I probably put over 200 plus hours into that game. He and I both did. And we got so good to the point we were both, so Battlefield 4 had the leaderboard, so you could see where you ranked in the multiplayer, not from like a country and then a state and then like a local level. I was number one in Valdosta. He and I both were top 10 in the entire state at one point. So, yeah, I had to shout out Battlefield 4 there as just a fantastic multiplayer shooter game.
Yeah, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield Bad Company 2. That's a great series in general. Unfortunately, it's kind of gone to the crap side, to the EA
the
side, unfortunately. But Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, God, I love those games. Bad Company 2, Modern Warfare 2. Let's talk about Call of Duty if we're talking about shooters. I mean, let's not disrespect the GOAT. Modern Warfare 2 was one of the best games ever made as far as multiplayer is concerned, period. That's an honorable mention for me. None of us also mentioned the Legend of Zelda game. So I'm going to say my personal favorite, Ocarina of Time. It's in my top 10. That's one of those games I remember playing as a kid. And I remember as a kid it being so hard because I couldn't figure out the puzzles, but as an adult it's just like, oh, this is stupid easy.
The first one I played was on the NES, and it had a shiny gold cartridge. The original Legend of Zelda for the NES, and I played that one. And I think I have an aversion to those games just because it was so fucking hard, but I was also like 4.
Yeah. So
you were like, oh, well, it was hard for 4, but I cannot get behind the Legend of Zelda anymore because I just remember that game, and it was so damn
man,
hard.
give Breath of the Wild a chance. I'm not a huge Legend of Zelda fan myself. Like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, I love those, but I don't really care about Link's Awakening or any of the more chibi ones. I don't really care that much. But I would definitely recommend Breath of the Wild. It's a really fun game. The puzzles will still give you a challenge, but it's a lot of exploration, a lot of stuff, a lot of fun stuff to do. I would definitely recommend that one.
Yep, and they're coming out with a new one too. So.
Yeah, it's getting a sequel.
So on the honorable mention, like I said, Borderlands 2 was definitely one for me. Love that game.
Oh, also shout out Elder Scrolls and Mass Effect. Sorry to interrupt.
Ooh, Elder Scrolls. Another shooter that I thought was very inventive, but a bit more graphic than like Halo was Gears of War. Those games were a lot of fun. You could tear some shit up in those games, and it was cool.
It's got a gun with a freaking chainsaw on it. Marcus Phoenix is a man.
One that lets you live out some stuff if you were a kid and really enjoyed sports that we no longer have, but it's supposed to be back in a year. NCAA football. I know it won't be, but getting your favorite college team and just building the ultimate team, spending like 6 hours building all these people, and then just
the best legitimately is restructuring every conference to just be something absolutely ridiculous, and then taking out the Wazoo State to the national championship in their first year as your head coach. The recruiting in that game was so freaking awesome. Like being a coach and recruiting and stuff. I do miss those games. I mean, the way Madden's gone, I'm not super optimistic about the new one, but hopefully Hopefully it's back in form, but
I played that not long ago, and I looked, and I had because I still got the old 360, and I had taken FAU to 5 straight national championships, and you're just like, that can't happen, really? That's pretty cool to see,
right. And turning the Beef O'Brady's Bowl into the national championship every year.
Those games were so much fun, just making it ridiculous. So, well, there they are. There they are, everyone. If you're on YouTube watching us, thanks for sticking to the end of the video. And there's some games there.
I got to shout out Skate 3 before we get out of here. Sorry. Just another honorable
shout out
mention.
Skate 3. Not better than Tony Hawk, but okay.
Was 100%.
Leave in the comments below your favorite video game, your top 5. Which ones did we miss? Which ones do you think should have been higher? Which ones do you think should have been lower? Which ones do you think shouldn't have been on our list at all? But if you do that, you're wrong because it's our list, and bite me. So, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking to the end. Shout out to Nikki P, John the Stone.
Shout out Portal and Portal 2.
Dude, Portal, oh my god.
Look, see, we said
the cake is a lie, bro.
Narrowing this down to 5 was brutal, but thanks for sticking in. We are going to do another episode Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. No big sports news today, I don't think. The Rex Ryan being interested in going to Denver, I thought that was fun. So
very weird, very weird.
Top candidate, but yeah, we'll get into it Tuesday if he's hired.
But we'll talk more about that on Tuesday.
Yeah,
so.
When he's officially hired. Yeah, we'll get into it more.
Yeah. Fam Jam, until next time, go out there, get a game, and enjoy it. Just have fun. Do something for you. Till next time, guys, we're out. So look at my little guy. Just my little USB guy. No, we got an arm coming down and all kind of stuff. So
upgrade the game, baby.
I feel very. I mean, this is it right here. That's it.